podcasts we do. All right, and welcome to the Hot Tag Podcast, your post-Royal Rumble edition. I'm Chris.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Tom.
And
Tom's not happy with the Royal Rumble.
Tom isn't happy with the Royal Rumble. He was happier than Chris was with the Royal Rumble, though, on Sunday.
Yeah, I was.
But after a couple days, Chris has calmed down and is okay with it.
At least I wasn't there for it this year.
Yeah, if you were there, I would have banned you from going to any Royal Rumbles ever again.
Because it would have been my fault then.
It would have been.
Like,
It would have.
your fault.
There's like 3 strikes and you're out.
Right,
It's kind of
right.
like the bonus policy.
Was it you were at the Bautista Royal Rumble?
I was
at the Batista Royal Rumble. You were at the Daniel Bryan getting thrown out within 10 minutes Royal Rumble.
Yes.
And then you weren't at this Royal Rumble, which
No.
is the Triple H winning the Royal Rumble.
You know, I didn't hate it as much as I'd kind of. I'm like, I just was dreading the whole time. My whole thing was, I'm like, if Roman Reigns comes in first and wins, I'm like, I know they're trying, and I want the guy to succeed. I really do. But it's just like you're forcing it on me still to a point, and I'm like, if you have him win this, but then I'm looking at the guys that are in and the guys that are around, and I'm like, what's gonna happen? I'm like, is Sheamus gonna win again? Is Randy Orton gonna show up and win? I'm like, what's the answer? And I missed the pre-show with you guys. I wasn't feeling good that when you guys did the lead up before Royal Rumble. And as I was looking at the field, I was like, the black horse. Oh, I shouldn't have said black horse, but my dark horse. Not trying to be funny with that, but I thought this might be the year they let Kofi Kingston win the Royal Rumble, just because the New Day bit is so over.
Yeah, which to this day I have no idea how that is working like it is. Now I know, but I mean in the beginning I didn't expect that. I figured that was going to be, something that was kind of burying the 3 of them.
Well, but it gave them great smoking heat.
Yeah.
And it wasn't what it was. The audience wanted something that would have been stale if they went with like Nation of Domination.
Yeah.
I think it would have been stale.
And I don't know, with the exception of Big E, I don't know if Kofi and Xavier could kind of pull off that, I don't know if they could pull off anything but the type of heels that they are now.
Right.
I mean, this is perfect. It's so weird and different, and it's unabashedly corny, and they're just completely selling it. I mean, It is as dipshit goofy as like the Mountie, but it's like believable. It's like it's
right. Yeah. And the funny thing is, last year in Philly, I remember texting with Chris during the Rumble, and when they came out, he was like, "What are they chanting there?" I'm like, "We're chanting New Day sucks with 2 claps." So it's like Philly started something great, and they turned it upside down on them. They did. They were like, "Okay, we're gonna go along with this, but then we're also just gonna be unabashed."
I think
which is why it works.
Whenever they have a gimmick that they invest a lot into and it's not quite working, I think they just kind of bring it through Philly and let Philly get all pissy and shitty with it. Philly gave us Die Rocky Die.
That's true.
That gave us The Rock.
Right.
Philly gave us Dina Windsor Riot, even that was technically New York, but
yeah. But
I
just don't see how that I don't see how that gimmick is really. I didn't expect it to get over because this was one of those weird things. Like maybe a month or so ago, on my Facebook page, I got those stupid time hop things of like, oh, this is what you said 3 years ago.
Right.
And one of it was like, one of my comments was in regards to the New Day debuting. It's like I haven't heard crickets that loud since Too Cool debuted.
That's right. I do remember that. And
You
now
know, on Sunday Night Heat or Shotgun Saturday Night or whatever it was. And now they're heels, but they're ridiculously over.
right. Well, and the
One
Rock,
member of this podcast has a New Day T-shirt.
it was free. You shut your mouth. It was buy one get one free. I purchased the Dudley Boy shirt, and the New Day shirt came for free. I don't have a unicorn penis like The Rock said. Yeah, if you haven't seen that part, that was The Rock cemented them on Monday as just fantastic. Everything that he did was amazing.
It reminded me of the Rock Jericho bit from the
Yes.
Jericho premiere.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. And the fact that he went off script to acknowledge those guys that were dressed up like Undertaker, Macho Man, and Hulk Hogan, who were moved because they were sitting facing the camera, and they kept hijacking the crowd, and you could see Wyatt yelling at them during the match because he was upset that they kept taking the crowd away during their match. And then they do a commercial break, they come back, and those guys are no longer sitting there. But The Rock comes out, and he looks over, and he goes, hold on a second, we got to go off script. And he walks over to these guys, and he's like, who are you supposed to be? And he's like, The Undertaker. And he's like, awesome, cool. He's like, who's this handsome dude? And he's like, I'm The Rock. And then they're like, and who's this guy? And he's like, what's your name? He's like, brother. And you can see he was so high and so drunk. And he was like, and who are you? And he's like, I'm Hulk Hogan. And then he was like, and last but not least, who are you? And he's like, ooh, yeah. And like, I mean, it was full on amazing. And he goes, I'm sorry, I just had to do that. All right, back to what needs to be done.
And The Rock even said something where he goes, the marijuana
is right.
going in Miami.
Right. And then he got back in the ring and did his thing. It's true. You could tell that there's certain guys, they just go, it doesn't matter what you say out there, just don't say the F word.
Yeah, and I mean that was Rocky was good at that. That was back in the day when they gave guys a little bit of
well
rope.
Because
they gave a rope, they
producing
let
it as
guys
much.
enough rope to hang themselves if need be. Now it's like
Yeah. Now it's you got a whole creative team that writes so much, and then they scrap it 10 minutes before the show and they rewrite it, so they want to stick to whatever the most recent copy is, and that's why you see people writing stuff on their hands.
yeah.
But I mean, I can't explain the New Day. I really can't. Like I've really grown to enjoy them to a point, but I know they are hovering right at about the peak of where they're going to be, and that if they don't do something, it's going to get stale quick, and then they're going to be on NXT.
Yeah.
But they won't be.
I mean, right now with them kind of dominating the tag team division for the most part and being that mega heel in the tag team division. And what's great about them is they're so over that they could fight anybody. They could fight faces or heels because your legitimate heels are going to hate them too because they're so goofy.
Right.
Yeah.
They're so cornball goofy that it's everybody can hate them.
Right.
That's why I thought, just if they had given Kofi, it's the problem with it being too close to WrestleMania. It just would have been like if Kofi wound up with a 2-month run with that title.
Right. I could see that happening. But I think the only one out of that group I could see not doing it and pulling it off convincingly is Xavier. Like, you could give Big E the title, and I think he could run with it for 2 months. You could give Kofi the title, and he could run with it for 2 months. I don't think you could give it to Xavier. It's just, he hasn't wrestled enough. He's the mouthpiece.
And
even
that
though
in a way, that's a shame because he's talented.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's
He
where
keeps getting banged up, though, doesn't he? He keeps getting hurt.
Well, I don't know if it's that or if he's concentrating, because I know he says he wants to be the first active wrestler on the roster to have a doctorate degree. So maybe he's
Yeah,
you know
he's
I'm sure he's wrestling at house shows and stuff, but probably
But
not as
wait.
much.
I'm sorry. Doesn't John Cena have a doctorate?
Legitimate.
well, he does have a doctorate in thugonomics.
Yeah.
But a legitimate.
What about Steve Williams? What about Isaac Yankem? What about?
Let's just not go there.
You make my head hurt.
So anyway, let's talk about the positive things from the Royal Rumble. The undercard.
The Divas match?
I liked it.
I
Everyone,
loved the Divas match.
Everyone
I
was like,
thought it
snore fest, and I was like, the hell are you talking about? I was like, that's one
and
of
they
the
let
best
him go.
matches.
They let him go for a good 10, 15 minutes.
Right. And everyone was, maybe that's why they were like, snore fest. I'm like, no! You had Becky Lynch, you had Charlotte. They did a great job, and then you reintroduced Sasha Banks out, and you just blew our minds that either you're going to have a triple threat at WrestleMania between those three, which will be an amazing match,
Yeah.
or you have a one-on-one match, Sasha versus Charlotte, which will be an amazing match.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
And that might have been on the undercard. I think that might have been if Ambrose Owens hadn't been on the card, I think the Divas match would have been my favorite on the card.
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, absolutely.
But Ambrose Owens, as we talked on this Tom and I talked on the last episode, we knew it was going to be brutal, and it was fun.
And you know what the thing is? They did it exactly how they had to do, and the way that Jim Ross said it is, they didn't even have to spill any DNA. And I was like,
No.
They didn't have to go full extreme, but there was stuff done that I just went, holy shit, I can't believe they just did that. Or
Yeah.
I can't believe he took that tumble and he hit those two tables square on where he was supposed to.
Yeah.
You know, anytime I've ever seen stacked tables, you hit one of them and then you slide off and you hit the concrete, or it never works that way. He hit it perfectly and he went through both tables.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's your finish. I was like, fantastic, awesome. And he was still selling that on Monday night. He was still limping on Monday night. That's how good he is.
Yeah, and he sold it. I mean, he sold it later that night. When he entered the Rumble.
Yeah.
And then you had Ambrose. Had a good showing in the Rumble as well. Kind of banged up, and but that was my favorite match on the card.
Mm-hmm.
The Kalisto Del Rio match, I just don't care.
Well, the thing
I've never been a Del Rio guy. I mean, yeah, he's in better shape than he was, but I've seen him botch a lot of stuff, and there was a big botch in that match.
Oh, he had
and it wasn't even like something you could have hid, like it was a definite botch in that match.
It was the one where Kalisto landed right on his head, and I was like, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And it was close to the finish too. So, I mean, it was an okay match. Maybe
I like that feud purely just because you're getting some decent matches out of it. Well, they've had 3 matches now.
Uh-huh.
And you're getting Kalisto over.
Right.
Kind of as a surprise over, and he was from kind of the beginning of me seeing Kalisto, I'm like, this kid has got, he could go someplace. He's not even that much of a kid, but
he's like 28, so he's not really young, but he's not old either. But the thing about it is, and I think I was texting Chris on Sunday about this, is I think this is like not a gift, but like a thank you. With all the stuff they did with the Lucha Dragons, they were getting that big push, and then Sin Cara Dos dislocated his shoulder anyway, and it was like, okay, well, you guys are out of the tag titles, so we got to do something with you. And I feel like the Lucha Dragons were probably going to be against the New Day at Rumble, not the Usos because I'm so over them. I don't care. I
kind of feel the same way about the Usos right now. They're just kind of there, and they've been, what's his name? One of them just got back from being hurt, and it was like his first match, his first actual wrestling match in year.
And then they won the tag team or the Slammy for tag team of the year, and I'm like, how the hell did they win that when obviously the one was out for 7 months with shoulder surgery? I'm like, okay, right. I guess I'm getting upset over this like someone would get upset over the Grammys. Okay, I get it. It's not real. Yeah. It's a fake award show for a not so real sport,
Yeah.
But the tag match was okay. I never at a point in time thought that there was a threat to the New Day losing. I was like, no, they're not going to lose. And then on Monday, when Chris said something about that apparently WrestleMania is the 20th anniversary of the Dudley Boys as a tag team, maybe that's where you get your big drop.
Yeah, I do think they're going to give the Dudleys the titles at some point. I mean, that would kind of, that would be kind of a big thank you point. Although I know the Dudleys are going to be around for a while.
Right.
I know they signed like a multi-year deal. But I think it kind of. Michael Cole saying that on Monday night kind of led me into, okay, well, maybe they're planning something big for the Dudleys for WrestleMania. Being that April is their 20th year as a tag team, even though they were broken up at different points. But
they're going to re-sign the Hardys. They're going to rebuild Edge and Christian.
They can't re-sign the Hardys because TNA just signed Jeff Hardy.
I was just going to say they just signed him to a big deal.
Because they missed out on AJ Styles.
Now, is it that much of a big deal?
No.
Well,
that depends on which market you're in, because Comcast is dropping Pop. They're actually putting it up on a higher hierarchy that you have to pay more to get that channel.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit last week, where I got the notification that I think it's TNN, or no, Spike. Wow, I called it TNN. Spike.
Wow, that's a really long time ago.
I know. Spike, CMT, so the country music channel or whatever it is, and this Pop Network are going to higher brackets on the pay channel scale for Comcast. So I've already seen that the CMT channel, it comes up as you don't have it. So it's only, time before Spike stops showing up, which I don't think I've watched Spike in years, but
Have you ever gone to the Comcast Facebook page?
No.
Go one day if you have some time to kill. Just go and read the comments that people put on the Comcast Facebook page.
I can only imagine.
It is just like, you pieces of shit. Once Fios becomes available.
Yeah, you're out of my house. Oh my.
But what else was on the undercard? Are we missing anything that was on the undercard?
No, there was the Ambrose, the Intercontinental belt was up for grabs, the US title, the Divas title, and the tag titles.
And
that's it.
Titles. Okay.
Because then the heavyweight championship was up for grabs in the 30-man battle royal. Yeah.
And going into the 30-man battle royal, I wasn't expecting any like nostalgia surprises.
Right.
Because with the title being on the line, that the Honky Tonk Man ain't gonna win the title.
He couldn't do it in his prime. Sorry, bud. Longest Intercontinental champion. That's great, but you ain't taking the big one home.
No. The Rumble match was kind of, for me, was kind of weird. There were some spots that, like, I mean, who came out number 2?
Rusev.
Rusev.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was basically the last two guys in the Rumble last year were the first two guys in the Rumble this year.
Right.
And Rusev got taken out by Reigns pretty early. And then this was the mistake of the night. And that was Rusev gets out, the countdown starts, and they focus on Roman Reigns' face for 10 seconds.
Right.
So the music hits, and it's kind of indistinct, and Tom, you said it was some DMX remix or something like that.
It's the CFO, like, they took the DMX version of Ain't No Sunshine, and they made it themselves, so they had to pay less royalties to, everybody that was a part of that original song, including the sample from, what's his name? Come on, Tom. Bill Withers. So, yeah, I heard it, and I heard the organ, and I went, that's Ain't No Sunshine, and I'm like, who the hell is this?
I knew, as soon as I didn't recognize the music, I knew who it was.
Well, and I went, oh my God, it's AJ Styles. And then you heard the crowd go.
The crowd pops huge, and we don't know, they're still focused on Roman Reigns' stupid face. And it was like, I saw they've been putting all over the internet, they've been putting the angle that it should have been of the Titantron, and the Titantron says, I am phenomenal. And then, like, the crowd goes batshit crazy.
Right.
As well they should have. And out comes...
There was a great meme with Roman Reigns, that 10 seconds of Roman Reigns' face, somebody took it and were like, when he goes, what's that sound? And they're like, oh, it's the sound of somebody being over with the crowd.
And he was like, oh.
And we finally got to see AJ Styles in a WWE ring. Which, as my comments before with the Jeff Hardy thing, was a couple days prior to the Rumble, TNA comes out and posts kind of a little sour grapesy type thing.
Right.
Of, we had a handshake agreement with AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Doc Gallows to come work with us, and then all of a sudden they stopped talking to us and have backed out and are now signed somewhere else.
Right.
And that just kind of, that whole post thing, one, it made everybody that didn't know say, ooh, AJ Styles is in WWE? I'm going to tune into the Royal Rumble on Sunday.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a shot, like if they were like, oh, we're going to take the thunder out of their surprise. But like everybody kind of knew anyway beforehand.
Yeah, everybody knew beforehand. Well, they kind of did, in a way, they kind of did the same thing with Punk a couple years ago when it was the summer of Punk and Punk had left.
Right.
They started, it was like, oh, CM Punk's, greatest matches free on TNA.com, right, when it was back when it was NWA TNA. But it just reeked of desperation, of just like, here, pay attention to us.
Well, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Shivani "That'll put butts in seats" comment.
Yeah, like, exactly. That was the first thing I thought of.
I was like, well, that's a mistake.
And then that's the thing. If you were a wrestling fan and you didn't pay attention to this stuff on the internet, but you were a TNA fan and you were a big fan of AJ Styles, and you haven't been able to see him wrestle because he's been in Ring of Honor and New Japan for the past 2 years, I guess now, a year and a half or so.
Yeah.
You really haven't been able to see him. It's like, oh, I'm going to get to see AJ Styles wrestle again.
Right.
Okay, I'm not a WWE fan. I don't buy the Rumble, but I'm going to buy the Rumble because he's going to be there.
Right.
And it just was like, it's like you're cutting your nose off to spite your face at that point.
Yeah.
And I just I don't get it. And again,
on the other hand,
tried. Go ahead.
On the other hand, did you see what ROH congratulated AJ Styles?
Right.
Yeah.
Making it to the big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a classy move.
Well,
and I think what it really comes down to is, for so long, so many people said AJ Styles isn't going to go to the WWE because he's just small.
Right.
And I did, you know, I with watching a lot of Ring of Honor lately, with watching some IWPG on or New Japan.
Yeah.
I always say IWPG because that's what they call the title, but that's
right,
I know
right.
That's, yeah, I get that. What with New Japan, and I've warmed up to AJ Styles more. I always liked him in TNA. I always thought that he was a talented guy. And the match that he had Monday night with Chris Jericho,
fantastic,
great match.
Yep.
But as I'm looking at it, and I'm like, look at how much bigger Jericho is than AJ
That's
Styles.
what I've heard with that match, and that was a match I was watching Monday night. Mike and I were doing our other podcast, and I have the TV next to me. I kind of had it on mute and was kind of distracted because I was watching that match. But yeah, he was definitely smaller. You know, he shows up being smaller than Jericho. Jericho ain't big by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But then I've of course, you know, saw all the, you know, internet wrestling fans that complain about everything, kind of like what we do occasionally. And they were just like, oh, that match was horrible, and he was so slow, and blah, blah. And I'm like, what fucking match were you watching?
I was going to say, he was doing stuff that, you know, both of them. And Jericho, who is an avid DDP yoga-er, my brother said something on Sunday about how he looked a little thicker than normal, and I was like, well, yeah, but you know what? I'm like, he's also 44, so he can, and he also still has a six-pack. Like, you can still see it there, but he's not, you know, chiseled out of stone. And they were both moving.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows if you have two guys who have wonderful chemistry together, you can get a fantastic match. 38 and 40 or 37 and 44.
Yeah, and you know, and I mean, I think a lot of it is fans are, you know, are expecting AJ to get buried.
Well, yeah.
And I could, at some point, you know, maybe, but I think with Anderson coming in and Gallows coming in and, you know, Balor probably coming up, I think that we're going to see a lot from him.
Yeah.
And he had a really good showing in the Rumble match.
He was in for 25 minutes or so.
He was in for 25 minutes, and I loved the way he got eliminated.
Well, I think they're going to start a feud between him and Owens, and I think that those could be some brutal matches.
Yeah. But
you know what would be really cool if Owens, AJ, and Dean Ambrose triple threat for the IC title.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would there you go. You can put that at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we might see that.
Right.
And it would be a great spot to bring in Bullet Club and let AJ win the IC title at WrestleMania, and establish Bullet Club there, and just be like, and just kind of run off with the title and cut a nice promo Monday.
Yeah. Well, the fun thing about that is, Bullet Club is owned and licensed by New Japan, so they won't be able to be called that. They did put a copyright in for Balor Club, so there's a good chance that it'll be called Balor Club, not the Bullet Club. I know, but it is the Bullet Club.
It is the Bullet Club,
and they'll probably
that was another thing that not a lot of people saw, and I saw on on the internet, I guess late last week or over the weekend, was at a NXT taping or an NXT house show.
Just a house show.
Balor worked against Sami Zayn as a heel.
Yes.
And he had Sami Zayn in an abdominal stretch, made a gun sign with his hand, put it up against Sami's head, and pulled the trigger, which I thought was, which was cool.
Yeah.
He was another one that showed up, and Sami showed up in the Rumble and went right at Kevin Owens, which I thought was good. Which was cool. But I love it. Going back to
Norway, and you have Sami Zayn fighting for the IC title with all those guys.
Yeah.
Well, but
quickly going back to the AJ getting eliminated, I loved Kevin Owens throwing him out and saying "Welcome to the WWE" and throwing him out of the ring.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic.
But also here with Sam, talking about Sami Zayn a little bit, tonight on NXT, he is in a match with Samoa Joe and Baron Corbin to see who's fighting Balor for the title at the next TakeOver. So if Zayn wins, then he's staying down for a little bit.
Yeah, I think Sammy's still staying down a little bit just because he's still coming back from that shoulder injury. But having him show up in the Rumble was solid.
Right. Well, and most of the crowd knows him already from that match. He had that incredible match where he was one-armed Zayn, and he faced Cena, and the typical, happened, but it was still really good match. I'm trying to think, really. For the most part, once the Wyatt family started coming into the Rumble, I kind of knew which way it was going to go, which was, I think it was the 2011 Rumble, where the new Nexus basically protected Punk, even though Wyatt wasn't in yet. And so I was waiting for him to get in there and them just kind of like create a barrier around them. And, as old as Big Show and Kane are, they still made a point of Braun Strowman knocking both of them out by himself.
Yeah, that was good. And then you had Lesnar come in before Wyatt,
right?
And having Lesnar pretty much take out the Wyatt family. And then, in turn, having the Wyatt family come back in the ring and eliminate him, which I'm not a fan of that happening. We saw it happen at the Rumble we were at in Pittsburgh with Punk, and then we never saw Punk in the ring again. I'm not a big fan of... I get that it's no DQ. I get that it's the way that they're starting this feud with the Wyatt family and Brock Lesnar. But I don't like that idea of, somebody being eliminated from the Rumble and still coming back and eliminating somebody.
Right.
I'm just not a fan of that.
It's cheap.
It's happened in the past, and it is. It's cheap heat.
It's cheap heat. And one thing that I found interesting was, as soon as Lesnar was eliminated, he walked around the corner, and him and Paul just kind of walked away. He didn't do anything. Like I expected I expected him to clear house and knock everybody, doing F5s left and right or suplex. I enjoyed Suplex City in the Rumble. He was throwing some of them big guys around like they were little guys, and that was really cool to see. But I thought he would do something, and he just kind of had that smirk on his face, and he looked right at Wyatt, and then he walked away.
Yeah, that kind of that. I didn't like that either. So you've got, Brock Lesnar, who's this beast who destroys everybody in his path, and he gets cheated out of the Rumble, and that's it. He's just kind of like, oh, well,
And he didn't show up on Raw.
But he didn't show up on Raw, but somehow he ended up in the triple threat match at Fastlane.
Because purple.
Because purple, exactly.
Right. Now
the one thing I missed, and I don't know if they just didn't show it or I just wasn't paying attention at that point, was Kofi's elimination.
Oh no, that was after the League of Nations.
That was when we got nothing but Roman Reigns coverage for 6 minutes.
Right, when the League was beating him up over on the table. They did go back to it later, and they were like, oh, well, we were over here and Roman Reigns was being... Kofi Kingston was eliminated. He got put back up on the apron, and then someone kicked him off. I think it was Jericho or something like that.
Yeah.
It was nothing special. It was like, cool.
But, and I mean, even with, I like Kofi, and I like that gimmick of, him finding a way to survive. And I knew, you knew when he came out with the other two guys, you knew that's what was going to happen. You knew he was going to end up on Big E's shoulders at some point.
Well, I mean... the thing for him to do.
Yeah, but and this is kind of me kind of thinking on the fly here. Instead of having Biggie put him on the ring and have him get knocked off, what I would have done was I would because he was running around on Big E's shoulders doing the unicorn thing and all that. Is I would have had somebody eliminate somebody and eliminate him into Big E and knock him over.
But then that would have mean they wouldn't have been able to show poor Roman Reigns for 40 seconds.
Yeah, and I mean that was another thing. It was like, okay, League of Nations comes out and beats up Roman Reigns, and they put him on a stretcher and they wheel him in the back. He's fucking coming back.
Right.
Don't.
Right. It was like when they did that with McMahon the one year when he won, where he got his ass handed to him, and then or did he go and sit and do commentary? No, that's what it was. They did that to Austin. They beat him with an inch of his life, and then he sat down and did commentary, and then Austin came out, and then he won, which was, Anyway, but I mean, it was kind of, the Rumble was up, down, up, down. When Ziggler showed up as late as he did, I went, are they finally going to pull the trigger on him?
No.
I knew they weren't. But, but it was just kind of like, he was at 25 or 26. Of course, when 30 hit and Triple H's music hit, I was like, okay, I knew this was going to happen. Now I know never to bet against Vegas because Vegas had him at 6-5 odds to win the title, which was funny that Vegas takes odds on the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So there you go.
People bet on everything, man.
Yeah, they do. They bet on the Puppy Bowl. I'm sure they do.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
When this dog will take a shit, I don't know. But the one moment that I truly enjoyed was when him and Wyatt were face to face, and he told him to eliminate somebody, and he just popped him in the face, and I was like, "Ooh, Wyatt doesn't listen to anybody."
Yeah.
It's not that he's going to become a good guy; it's that nobody tells him what to do.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked that. And I thought, okay, does Wyatt still have a sporting chance? No, because Triple H is in the ring.
Yeah. And this was something, I don't know if you pointed this out to me, Tom, or I saw somebody else point this out, is this Rumble kind of set up Rollins Triple H a little bit.
It did. Very much.
Because Triple H didn't hit the pedigree on anybody. He attempted it, and he missed it every time.
Right. He did. And he didn't look terrible for his age and not being a regular competitor, but, it was one of those, I kind of knew, and I think the crowd knew, as soon as that song hit, he got a bigger pop than Roman Reigns. People booed Roman Reigns when he came in.
Yeah.
Like they were doing that boo, and I was like, uh-oh. They're getting back into that.
And they're booing him in his home state.
Right, in Florida, right.
Because he's from Sarasota or something like that. And
somewhere down there, right. But it just, I don't know. There were some things there that I don't know. And then I thought for a minute, maybe Ambrose does win this. And then we get Ambrose versus Reigns at WrestleMania, and I'm okay with that.
I thought for a hot second there that Ambrose had a shot.
Right.
I would have even been okay with Triple H winning. I think if they would have let the two of them run a little bit longer in the ring than they did.
Right. They just kind of was like, they were sitting in the corners opposite of each other, looking at each other, and then all of a sudden it was like a couple of moves and then a reversal and he was out. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, where are we going from here? Okay, so we know that eventually it's going to end up him versus Reigns at WrestleMania, probably, with Reigns getting the title back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's going to happen.
When is Rollins due back?
It was 6 to 8 months from the end of October. That would put him at the end of April, beginning of May. So maybe just in time for King of the Ring or whatever they're doing in June. Payback, maybe.
Because that was going to be my thing. Because if he, if he's not cleared for an actual match by then, does he come in? Does he cost Triple H the title at WrestleMania?
I think that happens. I think, and I think this might be me again overbooking or fantasy booking. I see at least 2 schmaz endings at WrestleMania, which seems like a lot, but at the same time, it's the only way it works. Is I see Rollins getting involved in the Triple H match, not necessarily on behalf of Roman Reigns, but just to get back at him for all that crap that was going down right before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also see a second schmaz happening, and this is where you and I were talking before Mike got on. It seems like they're going with the Wyatt versus Lesnar. How do you put Wyatt over Lesnar when Wyatt couldn't beat The Undertaker and Lesnar beat The Undertaker?
And at that point, Lesnar beat The Undertaker. How do you put Wyatt over? And Wyatt would have lost to Cena and Undertaker 2 straight WrestleManias.
Right.
So now you're going to put, this guy that you're kind of, is still pretty over.
Right.
And he's kind of doing this, and this was a thing that he did on Sunday, which I liked, was with the family, kind of alluding to the Horsemen, but not the actual, not the Ric Flair Horsemen, but the actual, mythology of 4 Horsemen, with war, pestilence, famine, and death.
Right.
I loved that promo. I lost my mind during
I remember
promo.
you did. You sent me, because that was like the pre-Rumble. He did that, and then the back of his shirt had the number 4 on it, and I was like, okay, well, you have 4 of them, but I've heard rumors that they want to introduce Sister Abigail, and that they have a female wrestler in NXT that they would like to portray Abigail. Now, whether that's just for like interviews and skits, or if she'll actually accompany them, I don't know. But I feel your schmaz there is that the Wyatts help Bray Wyatt win, and he sits over top of Lesnar with his hands wide open, just saying "follow the birds" and does the upside down 4.
Yeah.
That is an amazing sight. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Legitimately, we all know Lesnar. There's no way he should lose at WrestleMania to Wyatt, because
and that's the thing. Wyatt's got to go over Lesnar.
Right.
But
So, it's gonna
without all the members of the family getting involved, I just don't see it happening.
Unless they attack Paul and he's distracted. They don't actually distract him. I don't.
Yeah, they don't actually interfere if they're there. I don't know. They could do several different things.
Right, but it's still not going to be a crystal pristine ending where it's like he beats him, hits him with a Sister Abigail, and pins him in the ring without something happening.
Yeah, and I'm in that match. I think I'm okay with that.
Right.
I don't want to see every match on at WrestleMania ending in that that respect.
Right. But who knows what'll happen by then? Who knows?
Yeah, we've still got 3 months and 1 pay-per-view in between
66 days, I think it is.
Yeah.
They were, because it was 70 days from Sunday, so 67 days, something like that.
Ooh, I have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Do you?
Nakamura coming to NXT TakeOver in Dallas.
There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
Oh, and that's another thing. Not only did TNA's AJ Styles showing up, we got it in NXT last week. Austin Aries showed up.
Oh yeah, how about that?
Well, they gave back James Storm and they got Austin Aries.
Right, I'll take
James Storm. Yeah, I understand where James Storm going back to TNA, and Tom and I talked about it a little bit last week. I think I like the beer money teams. I'm okay with that.
It was a smart move, and I think it puts them as being the top faces in that company now.
Right. Yeah. They
went back with what.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think his contract there is anything really, really long term. And I think his his working with TNA was kind of a pay by appearance kind of thing. I don't think
NXT,
NXT. I don't think.
I think he's like Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. I think they get paid per appearance. It's not an exclusive contract. So the next couple of weeks could be interesting. There was an interesting moment on Raw that I pointed out to Chris by the time you guys were already doing the Channel Z podcast.
Planet X,
yeah, and it was they had an interview segment with Goldust in the back, and he has his stutter back from when he got electrocuted 15 years ago.
I saw the stutter. Yes, actually, that bit was great. It was
him and Truth.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. See, now that I think will work, but they're revisiting that whole Goldust Booker T thing, which I think worked.
But it's a little different because in the Goldust Booker T thing, Booker T was the straight man. He was the he was taking things seriously. And with Truth being such a goof, and then if you get goofy stuttering Goldust doing it, that Goldust is almost the straight man now to R-Truth's. Because when he does Goldust does the creepy, I'm looking for a partner.
Right.
And R-Truth goes, I'm a married man.
Right. You know what I was...
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
But yeah, what I was waiting for was, instead of him to run out, I was waiting for him to go like, no, the tag team partner. And he would have been like, that one's on me. Because that's like his deal now. Is like when he went in the Rumble and he pulled a ladder out.
He pulled a ladder out. That was. I was laughing my ass off.
I laughed.
I'm like,
you're like,
really, dude. And the fact that he goes all the way up to the top of the ladder and is like.
I think he even yelled, "Who took the briefcase?" And you're just like, nobody, because it's the Royal Rumble. So
that was another spot that kind of surprised me because I figured that was how he was going to get eliminated. Somebody was going to tip the ladder and he was going to go over.
Oh man, that would have been a hell of a fall.
That.
Yeah,
that would have been a hell of a fall.
I feel with Truth, if it was like the old days and there were still like territories, that he would have some territory. Well, he could be he would have been one of those guys that worked WWE, but then was still like champion in the territory, like Jerry Lawler was.
Smoky Mountain champion.
Yes, exactly.
Right, he'd be the heavyweight champion in Smoky Mountain, but then he'd come up and he'd do dates with WWE. Yeah, totally get you there. Yeah. And the funny thing is, everyone's always like, well, they just treat him like a joke, and it's really sad. And I saw an off-Raw segment that they did after one of the most recent Raws, and it was his birthday, and the locker room cleared, and they all came out, and they sang happy birthday to him, and like they were joking around with him, and I'm like, so he's got respect. It's not like, except from that Yeti guy down in NXT who apparently hates everybody. He calls everyone jobber.
That was like one of those things. Like I was hoping to God that douchebag was going to show up in a Rumble.
Well, and I was like, somebody's going to kick his ass. And
but again, at the same time, it's like I knew he wasn't because it was like the titles on the line. You got to throw some dumbass NXT, or some tough enough winner on, in the Rumble that for the title. But that dude needs to be taught some respect, and somebody is gonna hurt him.
Well, yeah, someone's gonna hurt him bad. It's a shame that Eddie and Chris and Bob Holly aren't around anymore. Because I would have loved to seen those three get a hold of him and just rip him to pieces. It would have been fantastic.
And this is the day of social media where everybody can say whatever whatever thought anybody has can go out into the internet and be out there forever. But to disrespect, and I mean the social outcasts, I love. I think that gimmick to me is going to be the next New Day. They're going to get over.
Before you finish your statement, can we talk about how Bo Dallas put Flo Rida in his place? That Bo Dallas's rhymes felt
Bo Dallas's rhymes were fantastic on Monday night.
They felt more natural than Flo Rida, who is a hip hop star. Let's just put that out there for. Like that just.
I'm not even really sure. I'm not even sure what a Flo Rida is. I know there's a state called Florida.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a Wiz Khalifa or a.
Come on. What was that? Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, whatever.
That's right.
Machine Gun Kelly. But yeah, I Monday night it was like oh, more celebrity bullshit. But this kid needs to get.
He needs to get his ass handed to him. Yeah. I say throw him in there with the Big Show and let the Big Show go stiff. Or
I mean,
throw him in there with Lesnar. Let him suplex him around the ring a bit, because Lesnar works stiff to begin with.
And like the thing was like as I was starting to say, I get that everybody can put whatever fucking thought they want out there in social media, and we all do at times, but. To disrespect these guys when the ink on your contract ain't even fucking dry.
Right.
You haven't even had a match.
Yeah. In NXT, let alone.
I couldn't believe it.
Actually, you know what? I think I would love for them to wait for Cesaro to get back. I think Cesaro would put a hurting on him because. He was the one that they had wrestle. They had Cesaro wrestle the guys in their last match on Tough Enough, and I could totally see him just Bob Hollying the shit out of him with some uppercuts.
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking there are two guys this kid needs to be thankful for that aren't trainers anymore, and that's Bob Holly and Bill DeMott.
Bill DeMott would have. Bill DeMott would have
murdered him.
He would have raped him, and then he would have been like, "Get up, do more." I'm trying to think of other stuff from Raw that kind of like they kept trying all night long to sell this, impress them when we all knew who was going to be in the match at Fastlane.
Yeah,
it was like, okay, so Lesnar and Reigns and Ambrose. Is this the point where Ambrose turns, or is this the point where Roman Reigns turns? Like,
it feels like somebody's got to turn, but I guess that's the question. I had this discussion with a friend of mine who's a big Ambrose fan, and I'm like, they're gonna turn one of them, I guess. And he's of the minds he's a big Ambrose fan to the point like, oh, they can put the title on Ambrose, they can put the heavyweight championship on Ambrose. And I'm like, okay, maybe. But I think they got to turn somebody. But I think for the character and the way they've developed those two characters, it makes more sense to turn Roman, that he gives in for it, and let him get, let him be the bad guy, let him have a mouthpiece in Triple H or Vince McMahon or somebody from the, somebody corporate to do his talking for him. And Ambrose has got more of that everyman quality to him.
Right.
Or what they might do is when this is going on and they're going to be going at each other, the feud gets stopped by Seth Rollins coming in and saying, they've turned you against each other. They've turned against me when I turned. They caused me to turn against you guys. Right. But when we were together, we were the most unstoppable force in the company.
And they put the Shield back together.
I'd be okay with that.
I would be okay with that too.
We're kind of in an era of factions again.
Right.
If Bullet Club's coming in as Bullet Club or whatever they're going to call them,
right.
I bet Bully Club before Baylor Club.
Well, maybe.
Bully Club sounds a little more.
Okay. I mean, whatever. You can call them whatever the hell you want. We're going to call them the Bullet Club.
But also, in that respect too, money talks. So if Vince eventually wants Bullet Club, Vince will get Bullet Club.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't see him. I don't see them turning Ambrose because Ambrose out of the two of them, Ambrose is the one that's over.
Yeah.
Right. the fans are behind him. The fans love him. He puts on great matches. The only thing I wish he would stop doing is that goddamn rebound clothesline.
Yeah, we talked about that on Sunday, and we're done with that. It was okay.
I'm just so done with the rebound clothesline.
Right.
Well, actually, they're not even calling it the rebound clothesline anymore. They're calling it the wacky line.
Yeah, they're calling it the wacky line, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? They referred to that on Sunday. I'm like,
I must have missed that.
Stop doing it. Just stop doing it.
I will like an Ambrose match, and then he does that, and I'm like, and I remember months ago I said, I hate that fucking move.
Right.
It looks cool like the first 2 times I saw it, but now that he has to work it into every match,
right.
It just, and everybody wants their signature thing, like Ric Flair getting thrown into the corner and popping up.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Popping up over the rope. That was, and depending on if he was face Flair or heel Flair, he would either
hit the ground.
Right. Yeah, hit the ground or come up and chop you. Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, there's always been that dumb move. There's the people's elbow. The 619 I thought was stupid.
Well, it was stupid until it killed a man.
Killed man.
Well, yeah, it killed him. It was like
it's funny. I did watch one of those guys put together like a YouTube list of lame finishing moves, and he had 619 and the heart punch in it.
Oh yeah.
Like, both those moves have killed people.
Literally killed people. Well,
I'm not. I just wish I would just wish they would get rid of the wacky line out of this.
You call whatever the hell you want to call it. It's dumb. I don't like it.
It's dumb. Yeah.
But here's something. So at Fastlane, you have a triple threat match: Lesnar, Reigns, Ambrose. In order for Reigns to turn, that means he has to lose, because he would have to be like, well, shit. No matter what I do, they don't want to cheer me. I can't get where I need to get. He has to have that, as the Joker says, all it takes is one little push.
Yeah, and I don't know how they do it. I don't know how, because you turn him, and then he's out of the main event at WrestleMania. And if you're trying to build him as your next guy, he needs to be in the main event at WrestleMania.
Right. And I was like, well, unless, well, and then but then they'd have to rush a match between Ambrose or Lesnar and Triple H, and I don't think they'll do that, because they want that draw. They want that draw. They want 100. They want to beat the world. They want to beat the record for the most people in Cowboy Stadium. That's what they want to do. They've already said that. They want to do more than 100,000 people, or whatever was at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So, I don't know. There's some good things where they set the groundwork, but at the same time, there's some things where it's just like, I really don't know what the hell they're going to do. But
yeah, and I mean, we've got 2.5 months to figure it out, 2 months, whatever, to figure it out. So
now here's something that came to my mind, and it's a question I'll pose to you guys of what you would rather see at WrestleMania. Triple H defending the title against Roman Reigns, or Triple H defending the title against The Rock.
You know what? I hate to say this, but I think deep down in my blackest of hearts, I think we are going to see Triple H defend against The Rock.
So do I. I think it's going to come down to it, and that's why they introduced him last on Raw. That's why they had him flash back in.
And they set it up last year.
Yeah, they did on that SmackDown episode.
No, at WrestleMania.
Oh, with with
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. Well, here's my curiosity. They had him randomly show up in New York City at a SmackDown, and they like bumped shoulders in the back hallway, and they passed looks, and then they had words, or maybe that was before WrestleMania. I don't know. It might have been. Whatever.
And then to have the title match main event now be between two part-timers.
Eh, well,
all right. Here's a thought.
Now, does it set up? If you do that and The Rock hangs out for a little bit, and you have The Rock beat Triple H, then The Rock gives Roman Reigns the opportunity to fight for the title at the next pay-per-view.
Or you have a triple threat between Triple H, Roman, and The Rock. The Rock wins. That's when Roman turns heel.
because he's sick and tired of living in the shadow of The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
He's sick and
aren't we
tired of
all?
living in the shadow of The Rock? Well, yeah, we all are, but it's The Rock's world. We just live in it.
That is absolutely true.
But, I mean, that sets up a good, a Roman heel turn. And it could be, I'm tired of living in your shadow. You have my title. You're a part-timer. This title was stolen from me.
Right.
Actually, I think they should give Roman Reigns a new finisher. Like, he should get a big boot finisher, and they should call it the Roman heel turn.
God. Well, if they're going to do that, they need to get him new tights. We talked about that at length on the last one too.
Yeah, he needs
for the love of God,
a new look. Because that was the thing. Like you had, when the Shield broke up, you had, Rollins got a new outfit, as goofy as it was at first, and then Ambrose kind of got a new look with the jeans and the the
jeans and a tank top,
yeah. Which I still don't really. I'm not a fan of guys wrestling in street clothes unless it's necessitated. But
yeah,
I'll give him a pass. But again, Roman, nothing has changed. His look is the same.
Do you guys
and Tom is showing the picture down in the bottom there of Roman in his actual actual wrestling tights, which is a good look.
And he was a heel.
And he was a heel, yeah.
Right. Look, is that him?
Yeah.
I can't even tell who that is with him. But yeah, he's got a decent body and a good look that he doesn't have to wear that silly chest piece. And
yeah, and that's the thing. He hasn't changed his look at all.
Or his music.
Or his music.
Right.
I could almost get away with him not changing the look too much if he still wants to wear the cargo pants or whatever, but at least stop wearing a fucking...
Yeah, lose the vest. Lose the tactical vest or whatever the hell that's supposed to be.
Because you're not in the Shield anymore.
Right. D'Lo Brown called. He wants his chest protector back.
Exactly. I mean, crying out loud, even in the Shield, Ambrose stopped wearing it after a while.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to go ride dirt bikes or something like that, where the way he's dressed.
Was he in the movie Rad? I can't tell.
I love Rad. I'm gonna watch Rad.
But who doesn't? Who doesn't?
I'm gonna go watch Rad tonight when we're done here.
Good for you, man. I watched Galaxy Quest earlier.
Because I have a DVD copy of Rad.
Why wouldn't you? Because why not?
Because why not?
Because
when And again, as Teal Shire movie, this is a completely wrong podcast for this, but a Teal Shire movie where she's telling somebody he can't do something.
Right.
He can't win. It's impossible. You can't win. I've never seen her in anything that she hasn't told somebody she loves that they're going to be a failure.
And that's why they killed her off.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert.
Yep.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I was going to say, we've gotten to the point that we're talking about Rad and Teal Shire movies.
It's over.
I think we should go on a wrap. We should.
Yeah, I don't really have, any other any other wrestling shit to talk about. We kind of threw some ideas out there for WrestleMania, and then we started talking about Rad, which is kind of rad. And it's only 9:45.
I love this.
I love this. We're ridiculous, and it's not even 10 o'clock yet.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess that is where we will wrap up for this week. So So you know where to find us. We're on iTunes and Stitcher. You can check us out at the Channel Z Podcasts at WordPress or channelzpodcasts.wordpress.com, Facebook.com/Channel Z Podcasts. Shoot us an email at channelzpodcasts@gmail.com. And I guess we'll see you, give or take, in about 2 weeks. Because, you know, consistency, that's us. So, anyway, I'm Chris.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Tom. I'm sorry.
Roman Reigns.